Hello, welcome to another You Ask, I Answer. Um, Often you hear me talk about A-lister, B-lister, and C-listers on many videos in the past. And a few people asked me recently, what do I consider A, B, or C? And for me, I think it's different from many people. There are probably some characters out there that are in the same list for everybody, but I think overall you're not going to see any single one collectors with the same A list, B list, or C list. Okay, and so this is just my breakdown. I would love to hear what other people consider A, B, or C. This is not a tag video, but I would love to see other people make video and just list out a bunch of what they would consider B or C. A, I think is easy. I think A is easier than B. C is very easy. To me, B is the hardest. C is just about everybody that not that big of a deal. Okay, we're not gonna bother with the D list. But for me, A first, there is no hard and fast rule on what is an A. An A does not mean that a character had to be X amount of years in existence, like say, Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. Those are three easy A-lister right there. But, I would throw in, Wolverine, Deadpool, is in the A-list because they are so well known in the comic fandom, regardless if you like them or not. Like, I'm not a big Deadpool fan. In fact, I never bought a Deadpool book, but I have heard of him. He's extremely popular today, so he's an A-lister, regardless of what I like or not. But so for to be an A-lister, you had to be well liked, well loved in both comic for comic readers as well as non-comic readers due to movies or TV show. There's a lot of characters, that does not have monthly titles. Yet you don't have to have a successful monthly run to be an A-lister. In fact, some character have long running monthly title for many years and was considered B. Perfect example is Iron Man. Iron Man was a character that was most would consider, at least for me, I try not to use the word most. I consider a B-lister until the movie came out. I love Iron Man. In fact, my first book, as I have mentioned so many times, is Iron Man 150. So I love Iron Man from the very get-go, but I consider him a B-lister. And part of the problem with Iron Man is that he has a pretty weak rogue gallery. I think when you look at some A-lister, once again, it does not mean that to be an A-lister you had to have a great rogue gallery. But certainly some of the characters in it's hard to be in the A-lister without great rogue galleries. Okay, if you have an awesome rogue galleries, most likely you will be an A-lister regardless of how your book does, because great villain make great stories, thus make popular characters. So it is almost impossible to find an A-lister that have great, well, it's impossible not to have an A-lister that have a great rogue galleries like Spider-Man. I might not have collect Spider-Man all the time, but there's no denying that he is well known, well loved, and in pop culture. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, because of TV and movies over the many decades, those are very popular. So, as far as in Marvel, no doubt, even like the Avengers team, the Avengers, sure, the member may be a bunch of B-listers, but you know, the Avengers are very well known even before the movies. Okay, I did not collect the monthly Avengers book when I was collecting, but no doubt, if you collect Marvel comic books, regardless of the decades, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s onward, you heard and aware of the Avengers because of the continuing flow of team members that come in and out. I think that's what is unique about the Avengers compared to say like Justice League, where the members are not changing all the time. Some people don't like that. Some people don't like the fact that the Avengers change team all the time. But to me, actually, I kind of like that. Now that I have a lot of back issues of Avengers and read them, I kind of enjoy the different team members, the different team dynamic. But so the Avengers are A-listers. Hulk A-lister. To me, Daredevil is an A-lister. It's Daredevil has been very popular, especially more so with once Frank Miller took over, and then now with the TV show, he's an A-lister. Okay, regardless if he has a weak gallery. Same thing. I think Daredevil suffer a little bit the same thing that Iron Man had, or still have, is that he doesn't have a big rogue galleries that were exciting, but because of the movies, the TV show, the popularity of those characters are in the mainstream pop culture, I consider them A-listers. Now, does that mean that somebody have to be in the A-lister? Does they have to have a monthly series? Absolutely not. I mean, if you look at a character like the Vision is a member of the Avengers. The Vision doesn't really have his own title. He has, as far as I know, maybe a few limited series. For sure, I bought the Vision and Scarlet Witch miniseries of the 80s, but he never really had a monthly title. No, I don't think he can carry his own title. But he's an A-lister because he's well known, well loved, and now with the movies, he's out there in pop culture that people recognize for the most part. Galactus is another example of an A-lister that is not really on everywhere. He's does not have a monthly title, and yet he's belong in the A-lister because he is such an awesome character that I think anyone that collects Marvel comic books are aware of Galactus and probably liked him. Same thing with the Silver Surfer. You're talking about a character that have a hard time maintaining a monthly title, but yet a lot of people like him. Not everybody, okay? It's hard. I'm sure there's people out there that say, I don't care for the Silver Surfer, or I don't care for the Vision, or I don't care for Galactus, but in general, they are well-loved characters over the many decades, A-listers. Now, B-lister is tough. B-lister to me is characters that have been around a long time, but they just have a more like a, well, some of them are more like a niche character that doesn't have a wide appeal and have a hard time appealing to the mass up to this point. A perfect example, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is I like Doctor Strange, but a lot of people I know don't understand it, don't get it, and they don't hate him. Okay, I don't meet anybody. I haven't met anybody that say I hate Doctor Strange. Not that I can remember. There's a big differences between I hate and I don't like. Okay, big differences. So a lot of people said, a lot of people I know over the years have said I don't really like Doctor Strange. I don't get it. That's okay. Doctor Strange have had a tough time maintaining his own series for many years. He has been canceled so many times compared to say Iron Man. Iron Man was able to maintain a regular monthly title even when he was a B-lister before the movie. So Doctor Strange is a good example of a B-lister. Something that doesn't have a wide appeal, and have a hard time maintaining a monthly title. A lot of the characters in the Marvel universe or DC universe are B characters. You know, they are great secondary that fit well in a team, but in an individual book, they don't really fit. For example, I love Colossus. I love Nightcrawler, but to me they B-listers. You know, they're fun in the team environment with the X-Men, but I don't think I would. Well, I wouldn't buy monthly books with their title because you know, I don't think they can carry their own title. They fit very well in a team. They are member of the X-Men that I would consider A-lister, like Professor X. You can't talk about the X-Men without Professor X, right? Even though he would never have his own title, at least not that I'm aware of. If he did, that's fine, but he doesn't need to have his own title. He can belong with the team, the X-Men, and be considered A-lister. Same thing with Cyclops. I would put Cyclops in the A-lister because when it comes down to the X-Men, the two members that are most recognizable for fan is, well, you can throw in Wolverine, but you don't need to. Wolverine is an A-lister no matter what. But Cyclops and Professor X to me is what are known for the X-Men over the past many decades. As far as B-lister, you know, over at DC, plenty. You know, as I mentioned, when you're talking about many of the characters that struggle to that either don't have monthly titles or struggle to maintain a monthly title, they fall into the B-lister. There's nothing wrong with being a B-listers. You know, for me, even characters that have monthly title today, like Nightwing, or Lobos. You know, there's a lot of popular DC character today that would consider B-listers. Now, Harlequin, she's an A-lister, a newcomer, just like Deadpool. The popularity has exploded in pop culture to a point where you just cannot ignore it. I don't think I can put her in the B-lister, just like Deadpool, even though I collect neither one of their titles. Okay, so you know, as far as, you know, the rest of the Iron Fist, Power Man, all of those B-listers. Okay, the Falcon, to me, I would still consider him a B-lister. That's a tough one, even though he's in the movie. You know, I think the Falcon is a character that I don't think can carry a movie by himself, nor he can carry his own title. They can try. Maybe they have done it with the miniseries, right? But it's hard to have those characters into the A-lister where they don't really have a rogue gallery. You know, basically everybody that the villain for Captain America is considered somewhat a villain adversary for the Falcon. Very limited, in my opinion. You know, but you know, when you're looking at, say, Daredevil and Spider-Man, any one of those villains, for both of those characters, are interchangeable. Anyone that can fight Spider-Man most likely would be a good villain to fight Daredevil, in my opinion. I don't know why Marvel didn't really cross up those villains more often in the 60s, because they are great, you know, whether they are Gladiator or Goblin or even Electro. All those characters, all those villains that Spider-Man had was never too strong for Daredevil to handle, in my opinion. Let's look at the Kingpin. Perfect villain for both of those characters. Now back to C. Last but not least, C is just about everybody else that I don't care about. You know, when talking about whenever I use the word a C-lister, that means that characters that are not a big deal to me, whether they live or die, whether they have their own title or not, doesn't matter, because they're just not that interesting. Like Jubilee, you know, even though I hate and don't like Gambit, he to me is a B-lister. Whether he become an A-lister depends on how the movies and his popularity after the movies, but for now he's a B-lister because a lot of people like him. I might not like Gambit, a lot of people like Gambit, even love Gambit. So he's a B-lister. But as far as C-lists, yeah, you have you know um, things like Jubilee, the Boomerang, Doctor Doom, A-list. Well, I hope my rambling explain what is A and B and C, in case you are curious to see what is in my head. Anyhow, I love to see videos of other people breakdown of what they consider B, because I think A and C is easy, but B, what would you say is B? Tag video for anybody.